Hi, everyone. Hi, Golly. Hi, Blake.
Hi.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Lorena.
Hi.
Okay, 1 second. We're just waiting for a few more people to join us. Hi, Hanne.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Elana. Okay, so David, are we waiting for a few more?
We are. Let me just check. We have about 16 people registered, but normally about a third.
Okay.
So I think, wait 1 more minute or 2 more
Okay.
minutes, I think, and then we can begin.
Okay. In the meantime, do y'all want to tell me where you're from, where you're currently located?
You guys can pop it into the chat, or you're welcome to speak freely.
Sure. So my name is Blake. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, currently living in Israel.
Oh, well, where in Israel are you?
So it's near Fosaba, which is by Kibbutz Eyal, in
Cool.
Kibbutz Eyal. Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice to meet you, Blake.
Nice to meet you too.
My email.
I am here.
Anyone else?
I'm Glenn, and we live in the Arava in the south of Israel, and originally from South Africa.
Ah, good.
Nice to meet you.
I'm originally from Rishon LeZion.
Oh.
I'm Fern. I'm from South Africa, from a small town called Neisner.
Awesome. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'll introduce myself now. Oh, someone's coming in. All right. 1 second. My name is Melanie. I'm the program coordinator for the TESOL MA program. And Elana, if you want to just wave. This is Professor Elana Shohamy. She's the MA TESOL program chair, and she'll be speaking to you. And Hanne, you want to wave? Hello.
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 Hi, welcome.
Bobo.
I hear somebody speaking. Okay. And Hanne, if you want to just give a wave. This is Hanne. She's our teacher trainer, and she'll be speaking about the practicum component of the master's program. But first, David is going to start us off with a little bit of background about TAU International.
Sure.
And
Thank
tell
you,
us
Mel.
about who is David. We need to know who is David.
Of course. Shalom, everyone. Erev Tov. I'm David. I'm from TAU International. So we are the outreach and recruitment support service for all of our programs at the university that are taught in English. So I work with Melanie in organizing this webinar, organizing all of the invites you've received have come from me. The social media posts, the creatives you've seen promoting the webinar, they've come from us here at TAU International. So we help all of the English top programs with recruitment and student outreach. So I do a lot of webinars and get to meet lots of prospective students. So I'm delighted to be here and to help Melanie and to tell you a little bit about Tel Aviv University, if you're considering it. This slide is a great slide. It's a great sort of bird's eye view of Tel Aviv University and what we offer. All in one campus. Our campus it's vast. We have 9 faculties, each with their own libraries and buildings. We have 100 countries represented. We have 30,000 total students, and of those 30,000, 2,000 of them are international students. So you will hear a lot of different languages on campus. And because it's one campus, you do kind of get the best of both worlds. You have access, to activities and programming, with Israeli students and international students as well. We're a top 100 innovation university, and we have some pretty impressive rankings, if I may say so. We're number 8 worldwide in top schools producing venture capital backed founders. So yeah, diverse campus, 30,000 students, 2,000 plus international students. So it's if you've ever been to our campus, you'll know how big it is, and it's a great place to be, and lots of nice green spots around campus for people to find and to sit and to study and to reflect. I won't go into all of these, but I just want to tell you, if you do come and join Tel Aviv University, you are joining an illustrious worldwide group of alumni. Yotam Ottolenghi, if anybody here, I think is from the UK, and he's perhaps more famous in the UK than he is in Israel. And he has quite a number of restaurants. He's a very famous chef and author. Danny Gold, who gave us the Iron Dome, that wonderful piece of technology that keeps Israel and the citizens safe. Uri Levine, I don't think anybody in Israel goes anywhere without using Waze. He's an alumni of TAU, and he set up Waze and he sold it to Google a couple of years ago for some astronomical sum, which was great. We can move on to the next slide. You can just press it again. I think there's animation there. Yeah. I think maybe you probably know this already from, I think some of you have been speaking to Melanie before about the program, about coming to study with us. But we do have, it's not actually on campus, but it's literally adjacent to campus. We have 2 dorms, the Einstein dorms, and then we have the new Broshim dorms. And these pictures are of the Broshim dorms. And they're about a 10 minutes walk from campus. And they're new. We put all of the master students and PhD students in the Broshim dorms, and they're modern. You have a choice of studio apartments. You can, 1-bedroom apartments. They all have kitchen facilities. We don't offer meal plans, but I think that's a benefit to you because food in Israel is amazing. It's relatively cheap. You can buy lots of fresh vegetables and fresh fruits, and the culinary options here are wonderful. They include all bills, so electricity, water, arnona, council tax or city tax are included. And also the Broshim dorms are sort of just next to campus, and the view from them is spectacular. I look after our social media pages, and I often see students putting up pictures of, first thing in the morning, drinking a cup of coffee, and the view of Tel Aviv and out towards the sea is amazing, especially first thing in the morning. So we do have the accommodation close by. If you can move to the next slide, please, Melanie. If there's one thing I want you to remember what I've said, then it's the student life team. They are, if you're coming to us as an international student, it's a soft landing. They are, our student life team are madrachim, which is a Hebrew word for counselor or guide. They're, I think, one of our best features after the academic excellence, of course. Most of them are Israeli. They are actually all Israeli. And they're studying their degree in Hebrew at the university. They're all post-army, and they actually live in the dorms, and they're available on campus 24/7. They're actually here from the time you arrive. They assist with the orientation. They do activities at the orientation, at the arrival, whether it's pizza night. They were also helping out last year when students were arriving who had to do quarantine in the dorms. They were available, making sure they arrived okay. They took them food every day. They did activities for them every day on Zoom. Normally, in a typical year, they also do lots of activities outside. So they take students on trips up north to Jerusalem, to the south, all throughout Israel. This past year, they also do events virtually. We've done some interesting talks over the past couple of months about Eurovision, the election and political situation in Israel. This is in addition to the actual trips that you could go on as part of the program. I actually just published this morning on our Facebook page some nice pictures that Melanie sent me of the TESOL out in Tel Aviv on the graffiti tour. So there are matrochim. They're actually, one of them is in our office here. Our office is here in the center of campus almost, in the Carter building. And we have one of them who's sort of on shift in the office every day, that's available to chat to anybody, any issues you have or help you might need. And we also have a mobile number for them, so they're available whenever you need them. And I think they are, if there's one thing that you can take away from what I've spoken about, it's the student life team. They really are our, best asset, apart from the academic excellence, of course. And that's me, Melanie. I think there's no more slides. Next is Emma. So thank you very much. I hope that's given you a bit of a picture of, Tel Aviv University and what awaits for you here. I'll stay online for the webinar, and I'm not happy to answer any questions related to student life, housing, scholarships, or anything of that nature. So thank you very much.
Thanks, David. Okay, so just for anyone who didn't hear, my name is Melanie. I'm the program coordinator for the MA TESOL program. I'm just going to give you a general overview, and then Professor Elana Shohamy will give more details about the actual courses, and Hanne will speak about the practicum. In the TESOL program, you complete your degree in 1 year, and you receive a diploma from TAU. We start in the summer semester, and then we have the fall semester and the spring semester. The summer semester has 3 courses. It's a condensed semester. This year, it starts on August 15th, and it goes till September 14th. We also have an additional thesis track, which you can complete the following year after you complete your first year program. And what's very unique about our program is that we have practicum, which is a practical teaching in the Israeli school system. And you can teach in the elementary school level, junior high, high school, higher education, or in adult education. And Hanne will discuss placements and all the details with you, but that's one of the amazing things about our program, is that it's not just what you learn in the classroom, it's what you take in the classroom and put into action. Our program really integrates theory and practice in all of the courses. And we also, as David mentioned, we take our students on field trips throughout Tel Aviv that complement what goes on in the classroom. For example, we went on a graffiti tour in Florentine last week with one of our teachers, Yair, he led the tour and focused a lot on language policy and linguistic landscape, and that's Elana's domain. She can speak more about that, but really incorporating the different theories taught in class and seeing them on the streets. What's unique about our program also is that we are open to students who don't necessarily have an background in education. And our summer courses, the goal of our summer courses and some of our full courses is to really even the playing field between those who came from a BA in education and those who are coming without that background. Our courses are a much higher level than obviously a BA. We focus on research, we focus on new cutting edge research and in education and in linguistics. We have a really small program, which means that you get personal attention. Our program averages about 15 students each year. We have very supportive staff, and the goal of our program is to get you to where you want to be after the program. If you want to go into education, if you want to be a teacher, if you want to go into educational management, if you want to go on to a PhD, the goal of the program and in all of its courses and the professors is to get you there. Also, what's really interesting about our program is that we have the Joint Research Forum, which is a research seminar multiple times each semester, and we join with the Israeli program in multilingual education. And there you'll hear from researchers all around the world about the hottest topics in multilingual education. Just general overview, the non-thesis track, 3 semesters, 38 credits. You have 3 seminar papers and a final task. And then the thesis track is 32 credit hours, 2 seminar papers, and then the next year you do a thesis. But we still recommend, even if you're pursuing the thesis track, to still complete all 38 credits because you never know what will happen. And also it's just, again, the courses are really special and it's really good to take each one because each one gives a different, adds a different aspect to the overall program. And Elana Shohamy will discuss the curriculum and the program in more depth.
Okay, thank you very much, Melanie. That was such a nice overview. And I think it's very interesting to just see how many topics go under issues that are called, to language teaching, because TESOL stands for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. And one of the things that's really changed a lot in the past, I would say 10 or 15 years, is that teaching languages, it's not just about how to. I mean, of course, that's very important, but we ground the program in something much bigger than that, which we call mostly social linguistics. First of all, we don't talk only about English. We talk about languages in general. We talk today a lot about what we call multilingualism. No place is just English oriented, but everything is immersed in so many other areas. So what's so interesting about Israel, we always call Israel a language lab. I think many of us stayed here because of that, because wherever you go, you see languages and people, you mix languages, and you hear Arabic, of course, you hear English, obviously, you hear French, you hear Spanish, wherever you go. On campus, especially since we have such a large international program, you walk around and you hear people talking Korean or Chinese and variety of languages, really. So in fact, this is really what makes us so special here in Israel in general, the whole idea that language or English is immersed, is contextualized in so many other areas. So we try to grasp these issues, but also to talk about language linguistics, really. But again, linguistics today is not really the essence of the field anymore, because we're talking, as I said, on social, psychological issues of languages, cognitive issues of languages, neuro issues of languages, and all these things are supposed to give you really a serious background for being an educated teacher. In other words, a teacher who's knowledgeable about so many areas that have to do with language, with education, with policy, with testing, with a variety of issues. So the courses really reflect some of those the state of the art of the field, really. So second language acquisition, it's one course. How languages are learned, what happens with language learning, how fast, how long does it take us? When an immigrant comes to Israel, how long does it take him or her to acquire Hebrew or English or any other language? These are issues that are really being discussed a lot. What age is the best age to start learning languages in general, and especially for English teachers? You probably are aware of the fact that English is being taught now in very early ages, not just even Kita Aleph, first grade, what used to be. Many places already teach English in kindergarten, if not before, because some of the parents already send their kids to learn English when they're 3 years old. You see, it's a big trend here and around the world, really. So second language acquisition is really an essential course about how languages are learned. It's not very much about teaching it, but we ask question, is teaching like learning? When you acquire a language, how different is it than teaching it? And what can we take from how we learn to how we teach? Courses about linguistic models. This is one of the courses we have that really teaches you not just hardcore linguistics, because hardcore linguistics, they don't have anything to say about teaching many times, but mostly we're talking about linguistic models in the sense of what we call pedagogical grammar. What is the grammar that's needed to learn the language? Linguistic landscape was already mentioned, because linguistic landscape or language in public space is really to look around in Israel. And I just mentioned how multilingual people is, how multilingual the roads are, the walls are, the neighborhoods are, the homes are. So we see languages everywhere in public space. So that's a new area in general in the past 20, 15 years. And we've been very involved in what we call linguistic landscape. And that is what languages you see in the public space, or we always say we develop a third eye, that you don't just look at books and so on, you look at the space in Israel and see how multilingual the space is. And the big arguments, which languages should be included, which not, lots of graffiti that, that Melanie just mentioned, the tour that we took last week. We went to other areas, we go to visit monuments, and the whole idea that you have to hold your camera in your phone or wherever to really grasp the multilingualism of the country. And you can see how Hebrew, sure, Hebrew is very important, but now we are in an era where all languages count and we appreciate languages, unlike people did here in the 50s, because at the time it was only, or before that, was only Hebrew. I think now people are very open. The ministry has a new policy about opening the world, opening the schools to a variety of languages. Now, language policy, what is the policy of the country? What is multilingual education? There are so many different types of programs which are multilingual education, which means English is there, but other languages, or what we call translanguaging. Translanguaging means mixing languages is okay today, like it wasn't good a few years ago, but now issues of immigration, you know that immigrants in Israel really keep coming from so many countries. We just got funded now to do a study about how the experience of immigrants in the time of the corona, in the time of the COVID. What happened to the immigrants? Did they lose? Did they gain? Did they get to hear more languages at home? Did the teachers really of schools pay attention to them? So issues of migration, and especially immigrants in schools, is a very big topic. And I don't want to overlook people who are minorities. Really, there are so many people here. Think about the Arabs whose home language is not Hebrew. It's Arabic. In the school, they learn in Arabic, they use Arabic. There's lots of linguistic landscape in Arabic. So we're looking at all these issues. Then the second part of, we bunch them together because these are more content-based, the top ones, and the lower ones are more courses that have to do with the how-to more. So you have how to use the grammar and lexis, for example, curriculum design that Elana Cohen, you'll meet her. She's also one of these, what we call the academic committee. So curriculum design and development, the Israeli educational context, which Hanne teaches, methods of language teaching, of course, method, how do we teach? How do we teach in the best way? How do we assess in the best way? So methods, teaching and learning disabilities, of course, is an issue that is very, very important in schools today. And technology and language, also very important. Learning, language testing and assessment, which we mentioned already the name of Yair, and he teaches a course of how to assess students. And when we talk about assessment today, it's not just, you know, plain tests as we used to have in the past, but it's much more sophisticated, more rich tests, more attractive assessment procedures. Sometimes you don't even think it's a test, but you just kind of assess students as you go along. So all these topics, and every year almost we have new topics. And since we had, the only good thing about the coronavirus was that we got to have for the research forum, people really, Melanie mentioned it, from all around the world, but really top people in the field came to give talks in the research forum. And it was very easy. It was, you know, here, they just showed up. I do the same thing for other places too. But it's kind of give and take, free, and keep people come, and really you get to know international, major international people in the field of language learning and language teaching. So that's a big plus now, and it's something new. We always used to have people who would visit, but now we don't have to wait for them to visit, and even if they wanted to come, they probably couldn't come now. So basically, one of the things I'll say about the faculty is that these are really renowned people and people who are really appreciated worldwide. All of us travel around, we go to conferences internationally, we are being invited to go to international places. So the field is not that big, but it's very international and very global. And each one of the people here you'll see is really somebody who is top person in the field. So we're talking about Elana Spector-Cohen. She'll talk to you, she'll teach you a few courses, I think one or at least, head of the English program. For many years, she was the head here also of the TESOL, and now she's also still part of what we call the academic committee, but now she gave her job mostly to Melanie. So that's Elana Spector-Cohen, whom you'll meet. Hanne, you just met Hanne, and she's doing pedagogical coordinate. She's the pedagogical and the teacher trainer. She's the one who will assign you to different schools to do the practicum, and she'll talk about it in a minute. And Nat Hora, who is doing the linguistics and the psycholinguistics courses, and Michal Tenenbaum, who is a professor in the other program also, the Hebrew program. Whenever we say the other program, it's the Hebrew program. You're the English program, they're the Hebrew program. I forgot to mention there is a parallel program, the Hebrew program, that's being taught in Hebrew. Your classes are being taught all in English, but you'll get to meet them in this research forum. So Michal Tenenbaum and a few others at you'll get to meet during the year. So that's basically a shortcut in a nutshell, really kind of overview of the things that we really appreciate in the program, and we're sure you'll appreciate them too when you get to meet them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Elana.
Now,
Hanne.
Hanne, right, yeah.
Yes, okay, so I'm Hanne Solomon, and I will be the one, it's already been mentioned, who will be looking for schools for you. In general, you have a 1 credit hour pedagogical practicum where you go out and you teach, and I come and observe you, give you feedback for your teaching, and guidance. We meet throughout the course and we talk about how to improve learning from your own experience. And you can choose. In general, we work with elementary schools, junior high schools, secondary education as well, which is in academia, but we also work with adult education. We have connections with immigrant programs for asylum seekers in the southern part of Tel Aviv, and we've been working with them for years as well. We have a course, there's a course that follows your practicum, where we meet and we talk about dilemmas that you meet. I give more ideas of how to teach, give you materials, we work on materials. And the last thing is that it's very important, it's not just my course that talks about the teaching, it's embedded in many of the courses as a part of the course where you go back and whatever you learn, you reflect on how is this connected to the teaching field. So it's very connected. Do I have another slide, Melanie? I think I don't, right?
No. Yeah.
Okay. So that's yeah.
I know that if you
one more thing, I think I wasn't sure if it would come up in the summer before we start the course. I always send out a questionnaire in order to see what your preferences are, and then I'll meet up with each one of you and we will decide which is the best choice for you, and we talk about the pros and the cons. And then in the fall, I will go with you to the school for the first time, and then it's up to you from then on. That's it.
Thank you, Hanne. I think a few people had questions that they submitted about the practicum. So if they weren't answered, we'll stick around after for the FAQs, and you can
Definitely.
This is connected to also the next slide, but in terms of what our alumni have to say, the program again really prepares you for a bunch of different career paths. Samuel Blank was a thesis student last year, and the year before that he completed the MA program, and he decided to pursue a PhD, and he returned to the States. Many students stay in Israel. I would say most graduates continue on to teaching jobs in Israel and abroad. again, students who stay in Israel, if you are making Aliyah, if that's part of your plans, if that applies to you, we can help you also. Hanne can talk about that after, about getting your teacher certification after you complete the MA degree, because our program does not give certification, but you can count many of the courses towards the certification. Many students teach in higher education in public and private contexts. Some continue on to language coaching and tutoring, professional training, and many continue on to PhD programs and educational administration. So these are general FAQs. Before I get into each one of these, does anyone have any questions about what we've discussed till now? You can turn off your mic, I think. You can.
Yes, we have a question, please,
Sure.
Melanie. We wanted to ask how suitable the program is for experienced teacher. I've been teaching for a few years already.
Hanne, you can answer that.
Yeah. First of all, if you are in a job you're teaching, then your current position will serve as your practicum, and I will work with you on that. Secondly, it's my view that it doesn't matter what you do, you can always learn, and there's a lot. I took the equivalent program in Hebrew after I'd been teaching for 17 years, and it enriched me to an extent that I can't even describe. It does move you to a different place. So definitely appropriate, definitely suited.
Wonderful, thank you.
Also, I tell you, there are some students who prefer to take the TESOL program because they find that their English needs improvement, and everything is being taught in English, so it's a big boost. So it's up to you really to choose. But I think, like what Hanne said, we are in the field that changes very fast. It's not like it used to be. This is how we teach languages. It's varies a lot, and it changes. And I would say every 5 years, it's a new approach, something like that. So that should be very useful for you in many ways. Also, you can go on for a PhD if you wanted in the future. That kind of, and for both programs, in fact, but for this program too, if you want to do a career in this field, for sure. Okay?
Yep. Anyone else have questions before I continue?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Just wondering, how does your program stand out differently than other programs? What do you have to offer that's different?
In Israel, you mean, or in general?
This specific program in Israel, yeah.
I don't know of many other programs. I know there are some, but I don't think you have the same comprehensive way of teaching, of doing this work, this field, and how broad it is in here. We've been around for 20 years. We are the first program, and we've been around. First it was 2 years, now it's 3 semesters, like 1 year. But I would say that we really can say that we have the best faculty. We have a very comprehensive, dynamic, extremely dynamic program. You get to talk to teachers, to other students. It's a very energetic program, I can imagine, and tell you. We have a newspaper of the group, and so you'll find it very, very dynamic. I would say we have the top people. So
yeah, and I'd like to add to that the aspect of the practicum, because in most, if you take an MA, it usually is it's all about the theory, and here it's very connected to the field. All the different parts of the field, not necessarily just only the classroom, but it's very connected to the field. And the fact that you have a practicum is unique to this program, and you wouldn't have that necessarily in other MA programs.
One other thing I need to say, but maybe the other programs have the same thing. We have, like in the class this year, we have 5 Arab students, so you get to learn a lot about the Arab community as well. If you're in Israel, like I know there was a tour a few weeks ago, some of the students went up north to visit some Arab family, one of the students in class. We go to Jaffa, we can go to other places. So it's a very, we have a person from Korea, we have a person from China now, we have a person from Uruguay. So I think it's very diverse in terms of the kind of people we get. We never know what will happen next year, but it's very, very diverse. And when we talk about language policy, we go beyond Israel. We talk about policies around the world. We make sure you don't just get stuck in, in Israel alone, but to go further. So in that respect, I can tell you that also the Hebrew program, we are the only Hebrew program in Israel. There's no other program at all. So I think it's unique. But go check others.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so I'll continue, and then if you have more, feel free to put it in the chat or to unmute yourselves. So just general questions. What are the application requirements? You need a GPA from your BA of 3.0 or 80 on a 100 scale of 100. You need to supply 2 letters of recommendation, CV, resume, passport photo, copy of your passport, an essay explaining why you want to join the program, what you will contribute to the program, and how it fits into your overall plans for your future. And we would need copies of your transcripts and your diploma. The application deadline. So the official deadline is May 31st. The earlier you get in your application materials, the better. You can hear back within 2 weeks if you're accepted. Again, if anyone has extenuating circumstances and they can't get their applications in time, be in touch with me and we'll work something out. The application fee is 150 USD. I think in general, does anyone want to know about living in Tel Aviv? Or just in general, living in Tel Aviv is amazing. It's a nonstop city. I mean, David already spoke about the different opportunities on campus, but it really is an amazing city, and there's so much to do outside of campus. And how do visas? Is anyone making Aliyah or is coming from a country that is coming from outside of Israel? Anyone? Anyone making Aliyah or just coming for the degree?
I'm in the process.
Okay, so I'll talk about both the Aliyah process and the visa process. So for students who are just coming to do their studies here, but plan on then taking their degree abroad, you would apply for a student visa, and that's done through your home consulate, your home country, the Israeli consulate in your home country. But again, I can put you in touch with if you have any specific questions with the visa coordinator. If you're making Aliyah, you can use, there are benefits when you make Aliyah. Some of those are educational benefits, and the Ministry of Aliyah will pay for your master's degree. So the ministry, if you can get those benefits, the ministry will pay for, I think it's the equivalent of, I think, 15,000 shekel, but because our program is only 1 year as opposed to 2, they'll pay for it as if it was 2 years. So I think they'll pay 30,000 shekel towards your tuition. About that, but again, you have to check with them for the exact details and if you qualify. But if you do qualify, they will reimburse you for your degree. Not for the whole thing, but for the about 30,000 shekel. Our program costs 15,250 USD. And the reason why it's in American dollars is because we are an international program. All of the courses are in English, and it's a condensed program. In terms of, sorry, just can't see my slide. In terms of scholarships, we offer a number of scholarships. Some are dependent on where you're coming from. If you're coming from the US, if you're coming from South America, if you're coming from Asia. So depending on where you're coming from, I can post the link at the end of this talk to the scholarship page. Those are for general scholarships, but specifically for our program, we have the TESOL program scholarship. And to apply, you apply to the program. Once you're accepted, you upload to your application page an essay explaining why you deserve a TESOL program scholarship. We only have a limited number. We give between $3,000 to $5,000 scholarships. In addition, there is a COVID relief scholarship that is being offered this summer. More details will be posted soon on the TAU International website. We are considered, you can, if you have never been to Israel before and you qualify for MASA, we do accept MASA program grants. Let's see, does anyone have any specific questions that we haven't addressed? You could feel free to ask them now.
Hi, Melanie. I had one question, if that's okay. So I wanted to know more about the hybrid program that I kind of mentioned, I saw online. Like, how will COVID-19 be affecting the program, and what's the process?
Excellent question. So the current plan is to have everything for our program in person. All classes would be in person. There might be a few courses that are what's called asynchronous, where the material is given to you beforehand and you can prepare it whenever you want. But in general, because again, we're so focused on the practical components, it's very much important that you are on campus and that you can be able to teach physically in Israel. So the goal is, again, Corona permitting, that everyone will be on campus, learning on campus. We've already returned to campus for we've already returned to campus. We had class on campus last Wednesday, and we're going to slowly return throughout the semester.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I just wanted to say something about the, I don't know where you're talking from, but if you are in Israel, I mean, it's possible to get the vaccine, of course. So to even tourists, so people who come here temporarily or for a year or whatever. So that's very important in terms of coming to the university, because you have to have, as of now, the green pass or whatever it's called. So I think it's I don't know your case specifically, but I think you should really consult with any of us about it, or with Melanie. Because,
again, as of now for next year, we're planning for students to be allowed to come in. They're allowed to come in now. Students from other countries, they have to quarantine first. That's the current guidelines. But again, we're planning for either the same or more flexible government policies. So yes, there is no problem getting into the country if you are out of the country for students who have student visas.
May I ask something about funding again? Sure. Well, being from Israel, so I don't think we qualify for a scholarships from other countries. Do you think there's how can maybe the ministry can help us, or I don't know about that.
Some people do get some grants from the Ministry of Education. There are also certain loans that you can, from what I understand, certain loans that you can take through the Ministry of Education to help fund your degree. But I also want to add that it's a one-year program. It's not 2 years.
For us, it would be 2 years, because we live in Arava. We can't come to Tel Aviv.
You would be coming. You'd be separating it into 2 years.
Yeah, so it has to be 2 consecutive years.
Separated into 2 years. The amazing thing about our program is that you can still work.
I know. You told me that. that we can do this in 2 years. So I'm asking about the fundings, maybe.
So in terms of funding, again, you can apply for the COVID relief scholarship, and you can apply for the TESOL scholarship. I don't know of any other Israel-specific scholarships. Definitely look on the website and check. Also check with the Ministry of Education. Also, it could be that check with your city. It could be that they have something.
Yeah. Okay, I will check that. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I had one more question, kind of specific about the Ulpan before the course.
Sure.
What's the length and where would it be?
Okay, so do you have any background? What's your background?
It's minimal exposure, so it's okay, but a very basic level. So I would be
Okay.
looking for
So
to use that
it's
program.
actually a good question for everyone because we didn't mention it. Our program requires you to have above beginner Hebrew level when you start. So if you have no Hebrew experience at all and you don't know the alphabet, then you need to take a summer Ulpan. You can take a condensed one, which is I think 3 to 4 weeks, or you can take a longer one, which is like 5 to 6 weeks. Again, our program starts on August 15th. So I don't have the exact dates yet for the Ulpan through the university. Do you have them, David, by any chance? Sorry, you're on mute.
It's from July.
Okay, from July.
If you go into our website and if you click on the language options, you'll be able. I can put a link here.
Okay.
You see the actual dates there for the summer Ulpan.
Okay, so that'd be great. So we have the summer Ulpan that you can take before the program starts. That's on campus in the university. I'm pretty sure it's going to be
from June.
What? Oh,
from
it's
June,
virtual?
sorry. Yeah, from June.
For June, okay.
I'll put the link here for you.
Okay, the link is posting the link.
Probably different courses, right?
What?
Yeah.
Probably different courses.
The complete beginner starts in June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, also you can take Ulpan even if you're not a complete beginner, and that would be in July. There's also Hebrew courses offered during the year, during the fall and the spring semester for MA students. Depending on your level, they'll place you in different classes. Also for the summer. So those will be at TAU.
I'd like to add that the workload of the courses in the fall and in the spring makes it very hard to take the Hebrew courses on top of that, just as advice. If you can do it before in the summer, it would probably be preferable.
Any other questions?
I have one.
Sure.
Is there any way to do that Ulpan if we are a complete beginner online, if we are unable to come before the start of the course or as early as June?
That's a great question. I can find out. I will find out for you.
Okay,
if there's options for a virtual Ulpan, since it's.
It would be nice, yeah.
I think they're planning to do some kind of hybrid option for the summer Ulpan, but I'm not 100% certain.
Right,
I don't
I'll
think
find
it's
out.
confirmed.
Yeah.
Well, that would be good.
But if you're able to come to Tel Aviv for the Ulpan, I think it's great because you can learn the language in the city and you get to practice it, at the same time.
Yeah.
I learned Hebrew that way. It's the best.
Good.
But I'll find out for you and I'll let you know when I have an answer. Anyone else?
You did mention the COVID scholarship, Melanie. You did. I'm sure I heard you. You did. Okay, cool.
I didn't see it. I couldn't see the link on the website.
It's not yet on the website. It's we're still waiting for it to be officially finalized, but that'll be on the website very, very soon.
Sure. So I have everyone's emails from this webinar. I'm happy to send you the links to the scholarship for COVID relief when it's published.
Just one last thing before everyone goes as well. We have recorded this webinar just so we can we normally send it out to the other people that we invited that registered, they didn't turn up as well. So I hope everyone's okay with that.
Yes.
Any other questions? Someone else? No? All right, it's really nice to meet you all virtually.
Thank you very much.
Hope to meet you in person. And if you have any questions, my email is on the screen. Feel free to email me really with any questions that you have, any issues. If you're stuck with the application process, I'm very happy to assist you. I want to thank Elana and Hanne for joining us and David for putting all this together. And
thank you.
And have a good evening or morning, depending on where you are.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Yoffi.
Yippee. Thank
Bye,
you.
Melanie. It was wonderful. I'll email out the recording to everyone as well.
Perfect.
That was really, I think that was much better than the one last year. They were more engaging here.
Much
We had
more
6
engaged.
sorts of questions, 6 people turned up. So, and I said, 5 or 6. So a third of them turned up, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, and it was really
good.
I think it was also great that Hanne and Elana participated. They really gave
They made it more interactive.
Exactly. They really gave effort to the program.
Elena's brilliant. She really, really is. She's new. Is she new?
Elana?
Yeah.
No,
She wasn't on the webinar last year, was she?
She wasn't. No, she couldn't come.
That's why. No, she was amazing. She really helped sell the program, I thought.
Yeah, she's great.
Amazing. Cool. Okay. So,
thank you.
Laila Tov.
Bye.
Bye, Melanie.